This is Creepy and Geeky. Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and it's officially 2025. And this is the first episode of the new year. We're starting off the year with a month of MCU episodes and kicking it off with the start of Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Helping to kick off this new year of episodes is my friend and basically my co-host at this point, Donna from the Dawn of the Dead podcast. Welcome back to the show, Donna.
Thank you for that intro. I was trying not to laugh, but it is kind of true. I was just here.
Yeah. You just rang in the new year with me on the last episode, and you're ringing in the new year with this episode.
It's my pleasure to do so.
Yeah, I love
come
having you on. It's always great to have you on. Look, I would basically do the whole show with you all the time. If you were interested in doing all the episodes, but at the same time, I love to having other guests on, and
Yeah.
I have a lot of guests that have been on before that I would hate to not have on once in a while as well. So, but
Yeah, I love hearing all of your guests.
yes, yeah, no, I know, and that's part of it too. Is like you like being on, but you like hearing the other people as well. So, and I like talking to everybody else as well. So it's a lot of fun getting a chance to talk to all the people I've talked to before, and occasionally getting to talk to brand new people. So we'll have a mix of, we'll continue to have a mix of all that on here as well.
So for anybody listening, if you want to be on the show, just let Robert know. That's
Exactly.
basically.
This is basically it. If you have a passion for a horror movie that I have not covered yet, let me know. We can maybe work something out. So I am open to new voices in the podcast space. I've had
Fresh start.
I've had plenty of new untested podcasters on before. Hey, I was literally one of them 3 years ago. So, and
Yeah,
now
me
we're
too.
here,
That was
right?
that was weird for me.
Yeah.
Just guesting on somebody's podcast and then having them kick me out of the nest and go, just do one already. You already like movies, just do it.
Yeah. And see, for me, like I started my own because I didn't know anybody enough to sit there and go, "Hey, can I be on your podcast?" But once I started, then I was like, "Hey, can I be on your podcast too?" And I've been on a few. I'd love to be on more. So if you do have a podcast or you know of a podcast that you'd love to hear me on, talk to those people and tell them you want to hear me on their podcast.
Absolutely.
Because maybe they don't know who I am. And maybe
Spread
they
the
do know
love.
who. Yeah, exactly. And if you want to hear Donna on any of those podcasts, make sure you let them know as well. So.
Trust me, they don't want that.
Oh, stop it. People love you.
They are
love
not
having
ready
you
for
on.
that experience,
Yes,
sir.
they are. Come on. They can hear what you bring to mind. They'll want you on theirs as well.
Yeah, I caused a lot of trouble.
You do. I won't deny that.
So it's 2025. We
It is
are
2025.
in a new year
Yes.
with no hover cars. I want
Right? What the hell? No hover cars, no jetpacks, no we have like the bare minimum of what the future was supposed to give us. We have tablets,
no dehydrated pizzas,
with pocket computers. Yeah, no
no tie,
dehydrated
no
foods.
laced up boots, none of that
Yeah,
Back
no
to the Future
hoverboards.
shit.
Yeah. The movies and TV shows and books, they all lied to us.
They lied.
They lied.
Liars.
So, ridiculous. I should have a hover car by now. I hate traffic.
Well, at least the movie we're going to talk about today has a lot of that nice tech stuff that we do.
Sure. Yeah. Nice segue there, Donna.
I try. I do what I
Yeah,
can.
you're really good at this. You should be a podcaster too.
Oh my gosh, we are so silly.
Yes, we are. But you know what? That's what makes it fun. So I think that's what people love about when they do hear us talking together. They enjoy our banter, our friendship,
We're
which
like
is
two big dorks, y'all. It's
oh phew,
ridiculous.
the biggest dorks for sure.
Oh, before we get
Yes.
started though,
Uh-huh.
I just found something that probably would interest you, but interests me more.
Okay.
So you're a big Friends lover, right? Like you love the
Oh
show
yeah.
Friends. Okay.
Yes.
So for me, myself, a female who
Yes.
loves coffee more than life itself,
Yes.
they have a handbag. It's a Central Perks
Oh.
handbag that's shaped like a coffee mug, but it supposedly smells like coffee. Like the
you,
whole
you
bag
started
smells like
off saying
coffee.
it tastes, and I was like, oh, why are people licking
Yeah,
this
why are we
thing?
tasting the bag?
Yeah.
But
Supposed to be carrying the bag, not
it
licking it.
smells like coffee. And I thought,
Ah.
I don't like Friends, but I kind of want this bag now.
Yeah. 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 See, well, I mean, the bag wouldn't work for me. So,
Not
but
for you,
yeah.
but because you like Friends. I just wanted to
Yes.
throw that out
I
there. If
actually
you
have
want to
a
get me a present, I will gladly
there
accept
you go.
a coffee bag.
There you go. All right. Yeah, no, I have a signed picture by all of the cast.
Get out.
I do. I do. Yeah. A friend of ours, an old friend of ours, got it for us years ago. And it's even got a certificate of authenticity, so it's for sure signed by all six of them.
Oh my
So,
gosh,
yeah,
so
no,
jealous of you.
yeah,
Not
no, it's very
really, but kinda.
cool.
'Cause I never really watched Friends. I
Right.
know of the show. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm doing a skit from The Blackening, and we'll get to that at some point. But um, but anyway, I just had to throw that out there because coffee is always on my brain, and I thought of
Yes.
Friends, and then I thought I was like, oh, I gotta tell Robert about this bag.
Yeah, no,
Not
that's
that he's
really
gonna
cool.
buy it.
Yeah, they have some really cool stuff. Also have all the Friends Lego sets. Uh, it's
That I
very
remember.
yes, yeah. They were pretty penny, but I love having them up on my shelves. It's very cool. So I'm a Friends dork. Yes, yes, yes. Um But yeah, no. But today, unfortunately, both Donna and I don't have anything. We normally, at the top of every episode, we talk about new things that we've encountered this week in terms of trailers or maybe movies or, interesting news items or whatever. Neither one of us actually had anything to bring. So we're going to kind of skip that. Um, I did want to mention that I think like New Year's Day it was. Ended up buying some stuff on Voodoo. Well, now it's called Fandango at Home, which I hate that name, but it
That's
used to be called
terrible.
Voodoo.
Ugh.
Yeah, right. It's like they bought it and just I like when somebody buys something and then they keep it the same rather
Right.
than like transforming it into something else. So anyway, but I bought the 5 movie collection of um, Pam Grier movies. And I also bought a 5 movie collection of Bruce Lee movies. So like I got the double feature of black exploitation and martial arts movies. The big 70s
Hmm.
tropes that were
Wow.
big during that era. So yeah, so it was really cool. I was very happy with my purchases because they were fairly inexpensive. So they were both on sale at the time. The Bruce Lee stuff was only $10, but the Pam Grier stuff was $20. But Pam Grier stuff came with like her best stuff from the 70s. Black Mama, White Mama, Coffee, Foxy Brown, Friday Foster, and Sheba Baby. So so
I
good,
really wish
good
people would
stuff.
talk more about Friday Foster. That is
You
such a
know
great
what?
one.
That's the only one of those I still haven't seen. I need to watch that really.
I think
Like
I'm a
it's
little partial because it's got Yaphet Kotto in it, and he's
yeah.
so great in that movie.
So I'm also wanting to really explore the black exploitation genre. So I've made myself a list on Letterbox of movies I want to watch in that genre.
I'll have to
So
send you some suggestions if you don't have. I'm pretty sure you're going to have a bulk of the ones I'm thinking of, but you may have a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
that you may not
definitely.
have a couple.
Yeah, no, I looked up a couple of lists online to see like, what are the essentials and then like, what are some of the more offbeat stuff and a couple of suggestions that you've already made are on that list as well, like Abby. Um because I haven't watched that one yet. But yeah, no, it's just it looks like a bunch of good stuff. But yeah, I it's a genre that I have a very passing familiarity with, mostly through the Pam Grier movies.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely want to watch more of them and kind of immerse myself in that genre for a bit, since it didn't like there's a ton of movies I saw that there were somebody had a list on Letterbox that had a ton of different movies, stuff that I had never heard of.
Hmm.
And so I was just like, well, it's probably because most of those weren't that great. Because it's just like any genre where they like something gets popular for a while and then they like just pump out like a
Hmm.
ton of stuff.
And it's just like all drivel, but
Yeah,
because
it's like
it's
the
set in
found
the
footage
era.
stuff. As soon as Blair
Yeah.
Witch Project came out, there were so many knockoffs and everything else that people were doing. So yeah, so it's should be a lot of fun. I haven't started that yet. I started the year off watching a couple of movies, but nothing new. So although I watched something newish, I watched that movie Anyone But You with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a
I've
lot.
heard that it's cute. That's a
Yeah,
really
if you
cute
haven't watched
romantic.
it, yeah, you should watch it. Yeah. It's yeah, it's I was literally laughing out loud so multiple times. So that's a good sign.
I knew it was
So
good when people were like, "Oh, their chemistry is so good, they should work together in another
it
movie."
was, yeah, it was really good. And it's directed by the guy who directed Easy A, which is like a great movie.
Oh yeah,
So
that's such a cute movie.
yeah. So anyway, but that's all I had going on this last week. Like, I didn't have anything like new to talk about or anything. I have no new Humble Bundles to talk about or anything. It was a weird dead week. And I think it's just
Yeah,
because it's the start of the new year and
I
nothing's
think
really,
so too. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure we'll start hearing about some new cool stuff. We'll start getting some trailers. I know next month we've got the new Captain America coming out and we got Hard Eyes coming out. So there'll be some new stuff to be talking about very, very soon. So. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is the start of the fifth phase of the MCU. It's also the third in the Ant-Man saga, as it were. Um, this is a much bigger film. Probably should have been a an Avengers level. Excuse me, an Avengers level film, but I liked it. I like it a lot. It's I know it gets a lot of hate. There's a lot of people who don't like this movie at all, in any way, shape, or form.
And I
Um,
don't understand that. I mean, it's
yeah,
like you just said, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the main point of going to a movie is to just have fun and
yeah,
escape for a few hours. And, this
m-
movie makes it fun.
yeah. Most of what I've heard is a lot of people didn't like the over reliance on digital effects, which I can understand.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I love practical effects and would have loved to see more of the creature work done in practical. But at the same time, the creatures were so fantastical at times, I think it would have been kind of hard to do them in practical.
Yeah, the
Um,
world itself was so fantastical. They
yeah,
kind of needed to use, unfortunately, CGI to make a lot of this
yeah,
world like seem real.
yeah. But outside of that, like I really dug on like all like a lot of the character dynamics, a lot of the stuff, and like Kang being the main villain was like
Hmm.
huge for me because Kang is one of my favorite villains of the Marvel comics, because of time traveling and everything else, and because he's got
Right.
multiple versions of himself throughout the timeline and stuff. So it opened up this new world. It kind of opened up the whole multiverse aspect even
Multiverse.
more.
Right.
Yeah. And so it was just and that was the plan. Kang was supposed to be the big bad guy of this segment, and then
Things
Jonathan
happen.
Majors was dumb.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's unfortunate too, because he's such a good actor. Like,
He
and
is
this movie,
extremely good.
yeah, and this movie really shows just how good he is. And it's such wasted potential, that, he could have been everything. in the
Yeah,
MCU.
my
And
heart sunk with all of that because
yeah,
you're right. Playing the different types of variants and
yeah,
the kind of acting chops that he brought to the role.
yeah,
It's unfortunate
yeah,
because every time you see him on screen, you could see where the potential was going to be great for him to be an amazing villain, and
exactly.
for
Yeah.
all of these characters to have to deal with, just in my head, I can see all of the different Kangs fighting all of the different people, and it is what it is.
Yeah. No, and I wanted to address it at the very top because, yeah. Otherwise it's the big elephant sitting in the room that nobody's
Right?
talking
Yeah, we're
about.
not
And,
going to ignore the fact that this
yeah,
man was in the movie.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because we have to talk about the character in terms of, the overall scope of the film and everything. But I did, I found this movie to um, be like it just to me it worked. It just worked on so many levels. I liked the we got all that past storyline for Janet of her time in
Hmm.
the quantum realm. We got that just we got more of Cassie and the Cassie and Scott dynamic. So it was a lot of the family like coming together. I like how they
Hmm.
have this whole family together as well. That Cassie even calls him Grandpa Hank, and
Grandpa.
so
Yeah, when she
yeah,
said that, in my heart, I was like, oh, they're like a
yeah,
little family now.
yeah. And bringing Catherine Newton in was great. Bringing a seasoned actress in. I know that some people were disappointed that it wasn't the same girl that had played her in Endgame. But I think it was a Endgame was done by the Russo brothers, so they were going to cast somebody, and maybe wasn't the person that Peyton Reed, who directed the Ant-Man trilogy, had envisioned for the character. So I think that was more of it than anything else. And he wanted to get somebody who was more established,
Hmm.
um, and had the acting chops. And Catherine Newton definitely does. She'd been on Supernatural. She'd been in Freaky recently. I think before that, and then as everybody knows, she's been in Abigail and in Lisa Frankenstein
Right.
last year. So she's going places for sure. So, but yeah, no, this overall, I really, really enjoyed this movie. It still holds up for me. This is like the third or fourth time I've watched it. Um, I did previously talk about this on an episode of Podcast 616. Um, so definitely go back and check that if you want to hear my thoughts not too long after the movie came out. Um, I don't think they will be much different than they are now because it's one of those movies that still stands up for me. Um, it's uh, it's just overall, like I would say, it's a good fun movie. I'm hoping that upon reflection, people will go back and rewatch it and have a little bit more fun with it and a little bit more it it is tainted. It is tainted a lot. It feels unnecessary now because of everything, because of their pivot away from Kang.
Hmm.
But if that hadn't happened, I think it would have been like super necessary. And it would have been one of those movies that people would have gone back to. And, hopefully they still will and they'll go back and enjoy it for what it is, regardless of, you know, the potential it was supposed to have to continue through the other movies and TV shows and
Right.
such. So,
I also like that this one is really, to me at times, I kept feeling like I was in Star Wars. Like there were just so
yeah.
many, you know, cantina scenes and, just different things that
Yeah.
made me think of Star Wars. And it was that I think that made it also a lot of fun for me because I could see all of those kind of parallels with this film.
Right.
It was great because we had a lot of great cameos, Bill Murray being in this movie,
Yeah.
and um, Katie O'Brien. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I think I would marry her if I wasn't already married at this point in my life.
As
She's just
Jintora. Yeah.
she's just so great in everything that I've seen her in, and this was a really good role for her too.
Yeah.
Um, and we also got to see the return of are we doing spoilers? I'm sitting
Oh
here
yeah,
blabbing
always.
away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To see the return of Darren.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I almost died. I
Yeah,
did not
no.
expect to see that.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't expect to see Modoc, and let alone in the way that we saw Modoc.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's really funny watching this one because it's how we get to see all of these things about Janet and how she knew all of these people and how she know how to,
Yeah.
navigate through this world. I mean, y'all got to remember she was there for 30 years. So she had to do something. I mean, she wasn't just a mom at that point. She
Yeah.
was surviving. Um, and it's still cute, you get to see how Hank is, kind of jealous, he's like, what, this guy really,
It's that's the interesting thing though too is like there was a level of jealousy, but also he was very understanding. Like it was a aspect that I thought was interesting, but I think he was more curious about
hmm
like what like why him and
Yeah, I think Hope was
um
more disgusted about
yeah,
it.
Hope was more discussed. But yeah, because then he was like, well, you weren't the only
I went
one.
with somebody.
I was with somebody also. And
Yeah,
she's like,
nobody wants to
Dad.
hear their parents talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there was so much fun in it. Like, the fun little comedy bits, of course, but like it had some good stakes to it as well. Like it just I don't know, there was so much that was really good about it that like it's frustrating when I hear people just be dismissive of it and just
Just
say,
kind of write it off. Yeah.
yeah. Um uh but yeah, no, that's the speaking of Star Wars, like that's what the director wanted. Peyton Reed, he wanted a like his own big um like movie because he was like, like there were all the other big movies that had happened and he just
hmm
wanted a big movie for himself as well. So and then he Peyton Reed had also directed an episode of The Mandalorian. So makes sense that that he would do something similar over here. So, but yeah, no, it's let's go ahead and go back. This is picking up on Ant-Man's story from the in the aftermath of Endgame. And he's like, world famous now because he's put out a book, his autobiography, which continues to play a humorous role throughout the movie. Um, and I love Paul Rudd. Like it was
Yeah.
funny too because I was recently at work and talking to a coworker, and he mentioned that he did not like Paul Rudd, and I was like, "How can you not like Paul Rudd? Like, Paul Rudd is like super likable." Um, but and I get it. Some people are just that way. There's actors I don't care for that people love, but Paul Rudd is just like he's so good in the role. He's so funny, and he just embodies that everyman aspect so well. That guy who just falling into these weird adventures rather than being somebody who was like trained and made and like seeks this stuff out. He just kind of continues to fall into it.
Right. And
Um,
his little voiceover in the beginning is
yeah,
just so cute to watch, just him going through his regular day
right.
and getting his free coffee and,
From the guy who
what is
thinks
it?
he's Spider Man.
Who thinks
Thank
he's
you,
Spider-Man.
Spider Man.
And he didn't say a word, just took his stuff and left.
I was like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
But
No, and
him,
that,
kind of navigating and like you said, writing the book, kind of cashing in on
yeah,
what all he's done, and then seeing that he still has to be a dad. His kid
yeah,
is out here trying to make real change without
yeah,
superpowers, without a super suit or
yeah.
anything, and
Well,
he's well,
yeah,
she does have a suit, but
yeah,
just it's nice to see that dynamic. Like you said, we get to
right.
see that they are now a family. Everybody's kind of doing well, until Cassie mentions that, she figured out a way for them to explore
Map the quantum realm, yeah,
without actually going there.
without going there, yeah, by sending a signal down there. And
When
that
does that ever worked out?
yeah. And that, and in the meantime, they've been trying to find out from Janet, what exactly happened down there, but she's tight-lipped. She doesn't want to talk
Hmm.
about it. But, and I don't want to get too synopsis heavy in this, but, it's just, you know, that's getting into talking about these characters and the actors and everything like that. I love that they brought everybody back, that Michael
Hmm.
Douglas is back, that Michelle Pfeiffer is back, especially Michelle Pfeiffer, because I mean
Yeah,
we get a little bit of her in the second movie, but we get a lot of her in this movie. I know there
she's
were a
a
lot of,
big part of this
yeah,
one. I mean,
so there were a
everything
lot.
kind of.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say a lot of the movie hinges, the plot of it hinges on the action she's
Hmm.
taken when she was in that realm, and
Yeah,
she's just like you said, tight-lipped about it. So, I had she told maybe Hank at least, I think
she
she should
hadn't
have
told
told
him
somebody.
anything. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
she should have told him at least if
yeah.
she didn't want to involve everybody
I
about
think
what
she
was
was
going
just,
on.
it was one thing she just didn't want to worry them slash didn't want them to be too curious. And she
That's true,
figured
but
that if, yeah, by not
the
saying something
past
makes people curious.
yeah, the
So,
past tend to come and bite you in the ass, and you might want to let
hmm,
at least one person know what you went through. I would think
yeah,
just from a mental aspect, you might want to unload that shit on somebody.
yeah. I know there were a lot of people who were disappointed because, it is called Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that Hope's character of the Wasp is kind of sidelined in this movie. She definitely doesn't seem to be playing as prominent a role
Hmm.
as she does in the first two movies. I think in large part, when we talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp in this one, we're talking about Scott as Ant-Man, but also in this one, Janet as the Wasp.
Right,
And it's more of Janet's show this time because, to be fair, she hadn't gotten much in the previous
right.
two. And it's really kind of when you look at it, it's Scott, Janet, and Cassie who are the biggest of them.
Hmm.
Hope gets some moments, but she's definitely downplayed a bunch, and even Hank is downplayed a lot. He's got a few good moments and everything, but he's actually like off doing his own thing for a good portion of the third act before he shows up again. But yeah, it's I enjoy uh that aspect of it because it's great to see Michelle Pfeiffer getting to play this character and to really kind of chew into it. Um because that's how the movie starts off. We start off with her and running into Kang in the very
Hmm.
beginning. Um so it's definitely sets us up for a story that's all about her and her past and everything that happened to her was a good portion of what happened to her in the quantum realm. It's all about that past coming back to bite you in the ass, so um and that's the thing is just because she had encountered Kang and she wanted to get back home and he promised her that he could do that if she helped him fix his ship. But once she helps him fix it and she discovers who he really is, um, then she
And she had
sabotages
to,
it and has to
right, she had to make
fight against
that
him.
sacrifice to
Yeah.
not go home.
And most of the rest of her time there during that 30 years was spent fighting him, keeping him at bay as much as possible. Um, and yeah, it seems like it was a fairly rough existence. Not just surviving the quantum realm's dangers as they are, but also having to, constantly fight against Kang.
Yeah, I
Um,
really like the way we finally get to see, that Janet is very much a badass in this world.
mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
the very first group that they encounter when she's trying to get them a ride, she's doing like knife fighting and cuts off the
Yeah.
dude's arm, and then they're just like hugging each other because this is how they greet each other. You're
Yeah.
like, what? What's going on here? Um, you know, especially for Michelle Pfeiffer being a woman of her age,
Yeah.
it was really welcoming to see her be this person, you know? You
Yeah.
wouldn't expect her to be as commanding in this role. You know, she's a really great actress anyway, but to see her navigate through this world like it's the back of her hand because it was like her life. And for them to be outsiders and be like, "What? You understand what they're saying? You know how to do this?" It's like, "How do
Yeah.
you know how to do all of this?" It's cute to have them be us, the viewers, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. No, definitely. No, it's her presence in this like is it's just it's really good. It's great to see her in another comic book movie, especially after her role as Catwoman in the
Hmm.
Batman Returns. So it's really good to see her embrace that aspect of movies and her acting and stuff, especially after the second one, where again she didn't get a lot of a play in that second movie, but it's it's a lot of fun seeing her not only with the family but also with Jonathan Majors
Right.
as Kang and stuff like that, because they have good chemistry as
Good
well.
chemistry.
And it shows just how um their friendship evolved and everything. And so it's just, and like that moment where she finds out who he is and everything, like watching all that emotion on her
She's
face. She's just such a,
heartbroken.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
such a great actress. Like that's a stellar actress. You could just tell the emotion on somebody's face.
And seeing them even in the earlier parts of the film where they're, being vulnerable and open to each other, and then later on in the film where they're confronting each other and he's, basically saying, you took this from me. I'm getting this back. There's a lot of it feels almost like a tennis match in acting. Like
Yeah.
they really just encompass that scene together. Any scene that
Hmm.
they're in together, it's masterful. It's nice to see, like we've talking about it being fun. It is a lot of fun, but there's a lot of really great acting in there. Once
Oh
again,
yeah.
it's a shame that it isn't going to pan out the way we were hoping.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we got to see at least this glimpse, and I was so excited to see this world. And
Yeah.
plus, we get to see them also do really fun things. Cassie gets to make herself
Yeah.
really big at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess she had never done that, and they were both talking about they were so hungry.
Yeah.
Just the voices are so like overlaid. It's just
Yeah.
such a cute
I'm
scene. They're
so
running and hugging each
hungry.
other. I'm so hungry. Citrus. Oh yeah, citrus. But the ultimately that love that he has for her, he's gonna do whatever he needs to do. And yeah, he was about to give it all up to Kang
Yeah.
to get to his daughter. I
Yeah.
really can't blame him. Um, a lot of things they did were really cute. Him going to the center of the cord to start to get this I can't remember what it was called, the core started again.
Yeah.
And then he kind of splits. That gave me a lot of Evil Dead kind of vibes with
Yeah. Yeah.
Ash, where he kept splitting, and then there were just like millions of Scotts.
Yeah.
None of them could focus. Baskin Robbins Scott was there. The
That was
possibilities.
funny. Yeah.
But it's funny how they can make you laugh and they can make you root for the little guy, as he said, always look
Yeah.
out for the little guy. But then you're also thinking of this family and how they are just trying to do the right thing and also protect their family. It's such a cute movie. I really
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. And that brings up Cassie being in there and having powers. She is in the comic books, she is a member of the Young Avengers. She's known as Stature. She's also, got the character has the ability to shrink and grow. And yeah, so this is just another member of the potential Young Avengers that'll be
Hmm.
popping up uh, later on. Um, that because so far we've seen her, we've seen what's his name? I think I'm not sure if it's Eli. It's the grandson of Elijah Bradley from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh,
He becomes
right.
Patriot. We've seen Tommy from, not Tommy, Billy from uh, Agatha.
Agatha,
We've seen Kate
Yelena.
Bishop.
Hmm.
Well, Yelena is one of the Thunderbolts. So,
Oh, that's right. I keep
yeah.
thinking she was a young Avenger.
Yeah.
Wait, but there is somebody else, isn't there? There's Cho. I can't remember what his first name is.
Amadeus Cho. He hasn't shown up in the um movies yet, or
I'm
TVs.
hoping that we get to see him at some point.
Maybe he's more of a he was more of a member of the Champions. Um, so it was a different team of young kids. The original Young Avengers was Kate Bishop, Stature, Cassie, um, the grandson of Elijah Bradley, um, which I'm trying to remember his name. Um, Speed, which is Tommy, one of the sons of Scarlet Witch and the Vision.
Right.
Um, and Wiccan, which is Billy. And then let's see. Sorry, let me look it up. Uh, do, 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 do.
I didn't mean to make you look it up, but I
No, no,
can't
no, no.
remember all of the
I
Young
was the one
Avengers.
who started this too. So, um, man. Um, because there were two distinct teams. Oh, there we go. Members. All right. So we had Patriot, which is Eli Bradley. Oh, he's the grandson of Isaiah Bradley. I had the name wrong. So Eli Bradley. Um, we've had Wiccan. We've had Kate Bishop. We've had Cassie. Um, we've had America Chavez also. But
Technically, we've had Kid Loki.
we
Technically.
have technically had Kid Loki. Now America Chavez, Kid Loki, that's another version of the team that comes later. Um, but the main ones, and so we've had a few. It does seem like they're kind of folding the champions into the Young
Hmm.
Avengers in a way because we've got Miss Marvel as well. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I figure they're going to kind of combine these teams up a little bit to make something interesting with all the young heroes, which would be good. We need some young adults becoming Avengers, as it were, because all the other Avengers are getting a little creaky. So, but yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with her. But like, I was really excited to get her as Stature in this, and to see how um she has the powers and uses them and everything. So it'll be a lot of fun.
I was just thinking about her using the Pym particles to shrink the cop car.
The cop car, yeah. He's like, give it back.
I'm just like, I know you have it. What? Where would I have it?
Yeah. And then she hands it back to him, and it's like a little toy car. It's so funny. But yeah, no, like going back to what you were saying earlier about Darren being in here as MODOK. Yeah, that was a large part of what people hated too about the movie was the MODOK part because they were just like that was just too overly silly. And I'm like, yeah, but that's MODOK.
Hmm.
Like I again, it's just like I get it, but like at the same time, they were trying to undercut a lot of the heaviness of Kang because Kang when he's on screen there's no like he's not a
There's no
villain.
levity.
Yeah,
There's nothing
he's
light
not a
about that
villain
stuff.
that you can really laugh about or laugh with or anything like that. He's over the top, but he's not over the top in a comical way.
No.
Um he's very much like, all business. So it was definitely great to have that kind of levity, especially in a movie like Ant-Man. You need the little comic books, the comic bits, the comedy bits, because that's what the movie's about. Like the character and the vibe has always been with these movies is they're supposed to be kind of funny. They're not meant to be serious all the time. And so I think bringing him back was a good full circle thing and it was a fun way to bring MODOK in and
Hmm.
connect it to all of that without it being something else. Was it a little silly? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, a big giant head is pretty freaking silly. So with little baby
Oh
arms and
my
baby
gosh.
legs. So, but yeah, no,
I love Corey Stoll too,
I
man.
thought he was
He
funny.
was such a good villain in the first movie, and I was just like, this is I did not expect at all to see him. I completely wrote him off after that first film. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
no, that's the end of him. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
No, no. Yeah. No, I'd heard rumors of Modoc like was going to be in the movie, and um I think the rumors had come out that it was going to be him, that it was going to be Darren, and I was like, okay, I mean that's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. I thought it was hilarious. I mean,
It
it
was.
was super funny to me. I really
Especially
enjoyed it.
when he meets up with Scott and he's outside of his cell and he basically breaks down what happened to him and then
Yeah.
he tries to explain what the MODOK and he's like, "Oh, it's an acronym." And then he's like, "Well,
Yeah.
technically it
Yeah.
shouldn't be MODOK. It should be
Modofk.
MOD
Modofk.
It's like he was just going on about it
Yeah.
and it was so funny. He's like, "No, no."
Yeah.
Um but yeah, it was nice. And then he got, a little redemption arc too,
Yeah.
he as
Yeah.
he said, he's not a
At the
dick.
end, yeah, Darren is not a dick. He's like, I just, I'll die knowing I was an
Uh-huh.
Avenger.
Sure
And
you were.
Ant-Man's like, yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
were an
you were,
Avenger.
buddy.
Yeah. Oh man, too funny. This is just, yeah, it's just too funny of a movie. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. Um, it's the freedom fighters that are there, they're great. You
They're
already mentioned
so
Katie
great.
O'Brien as Jentora. We also get David Dasmalchian as Veb, the little guy
Drink
who's
the
always
ooze.
obsessed with people's holes.
How many
um
holes do you
how
have?
many holes do you have? um can you make liquid out of those holes? Like, okay. That was what's funny is I didn't realize it was David Dastmalchian who had previously played Kurt in the other two movies. So it was great to at least have him back in a different role.
Yeah, and I thought
So
that was kind of clever,
yeah,
everybody always remembers him as the Baba Yaga guy.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah,
he's so funny in this one. And of
yeah,
course, when he gets a lot of holes, he's like, I have holes.
yeah. It's so funny. And then William Jackson Harper plays a telepath. Most people will probably recognize him from oh,
Either The Good Place or
The Good
Midsummer.
Place. Yeah, The Good Place and Midsummer. Yeah, that's where I recognize him most from. Yeah, he played Chidi on The Good Place, which is Good Place is such a fantastic show. If you have not seen The Good Place, please watch The Good Place. It's so good. And watch Midsummer if you haven't seen that either, because it's really good too. It's one
That's
of my
so weird
favorites.
that we have three people from Midsummer who were in Marvel movies.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, who else? And then I remember Will Poulter was in it.
Right?
Um, because I was like, I knew Yelena.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Don't know that we'll get the other two in there, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, no, it's great. You get to see the universe that exists within our universe, and just how that's what's fun about it too, is that when you really look at it, you see that there are all these in the vast cosmos of reality, that there
Hmm.
could be multiple things going on, like, on the super subatomic levels and everything like that. There's a whole world full of technology and everything else going on that we will never see, never experience. And so, I mean, there could be. We don't know that any of that is true, but it's a fascinating theory and fun to think about. And what that means for us on a larger scale. Do we exist as subatomic particles to some other grander
Hmm.
scale thing? Maybe that's all we are.
Yeah, that's so weird too because you're right. We focus so much on outer space and what's out in our
Yeah.
universe. We don't even stop to think what is beyond the very fibers of our being. That there
Yeah.
could be a world within world within world. We have no idea.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this was a really clever way to show that there is a whole world that is going through a whole lot of shit,
Yeah.
just like us.
No, exactly. But yeah, no. And this has a lot to do with the multiverse and everything Kang is trying to get
Hmm.
back to reality, like out of the subatomic world where he's been stranded. He was forced to crash there, and you find out by who later. And we an interesting thing I found out while looking up this stuff is
Hmm.
earlier in the movie, the guy who asks Scott for a picture with his dog is Mark Oliver Everett. He's a frontman for the rock band The Eels, but his father was quantum physicist Hugh Everett III and the originator of the many worlds interpretation of quantum theory.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So they were just like, hey, let's get the son of the guy who came up with the multiverse idea and let's get him to just be a little cameo in here that most people won't even recognize. Like,
That's too
so
cool.
yeah. So it was an interesting little thing I found in there. So yeah. So it's like I don't have a whole lot more that I can think of that I really want to talk about for the movie. I just loved what it was doing. I loved the concept of Kang. I loved what how he was portrayed. Um, I was very excited for um, the potential because at the end we find out that there are these other Kangs that sent him there that they were basically afraid of him. Um, of him being loose in the cosmos because he's the conqueror and was gonna kill everything. Um and you meet these other variants of Kang. Um and it opened up so much potential for what was to come. And I know that they had to kind of pivot. I wish they would have recast more than
I think
anything.
that would have been the smarter thing instead of just scrapping that altogether because if he already has different variants, just make
Yeah.
a different variant. I
And that was the
mean,
thing too, is like we already saw in the original Loki series, the variants could look different from each other. So there was no reason for
yeah,
them to do
they
that.
weren't even the same gender. Like most of
Yeah.
we just do that because that would have
Yeah.
been a smarter move and you still could have had that arc. That would have been such a I don't know, it's such a great arc to think about and now we kind of
Yeah.
have to move away from it. I feel the same way. The potential
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah, it's so weird that they did that instead of I mean because they'd already recast a couple of different times um in the MCU. So I mean it's not like it was something that was outside of their scope. Like it really would have been easy to get some other actor in to play Kang and to continue that storyline without it being um too much of a disruption.
Hmm.
And I know that I'm not one of those people like that hates on the idea that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to play a version of Doctor Doom. Um, because I think there's fun in that. But I know there are a lot of people who do hate it. There's a lot of people who just do not like that idea. They think it's lazy. Um, and we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But I do think it would have been better and more accepted if they just recast Kang
Yeah.
and
And
just
I
kept
mean, it
going
was
with that.
already a great setup for phase five and what
Yeah,
that was going to entail. So I'm like you. I don't hate Robert Downey Jr. That the idea of him, but it was too good of a storyline to just drop it completely. That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
exactly. So yeah, so I don't know. It's odd. I really wish they would have done it some other way, but they made their choice and we'll see how it goes. I don't know exactly where they're going to go from here, but yeah, hopefully they get back on track. I will admit as much as I enjoyed a lot of
Hmm.
what they've been doing in phase 4 and phase 5, they have seemed aimless. They haven't seemed as cohesive as the original first three phases. Now, that may have been always part of the plan to be a little bit more aimless and to kind of just go with the flow, see what stuck and what didn't, or whatever.
Right.
But I know that there are a lot of people who have been dissatisfied with that, and um, hopefully they'll get back on track and give us something to focus on a little bit better, and maybe go back to some of the characters that have been kind of dropped along the way, like get back to Shang-Chi, get back to maybe we'll see the Black Knight and stuff like that. Some of these characters they've introduced that we barely um
I've given
uh
all hope up about Blade. I'm
yeah,
not even trying to worry about that one.
yeah, exactly.
But
So
yeah, I'm like you. I'm excited to see where it's gonna go and how this is gonna play out. I mean, I'm invested either way. I'm gonna
yeah.
watch them. I'm gonna go
Oh,
see them.
absolutely. Yeah, no, 100%. I'm a Marvel fan for life. Um, MCU as well. I mean, I'm old school. I've been reading the comic books since I was a kid in the 80s. So it is definitely something that is a part of my just DNA that I will
Hmm.
continue to just watch these for as long as they keep making them. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that's the
So,
plan.
yeah, exactly. Is there anything else you wanted to mention that we haven't talked about before we um, wrap things up?
No, I really just like the fact that, once again, it was just a lot of fun. Going into 2025 and God knows what we're going to encounter in these next
Yeah.
4 years or so. It's just going to be fun to go to
Yeah.
movies and see,
Yes.
all of what Marvel has in store because I
Yeah.
think we're going to need that escape from
Oh,
reality.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely
100%.
looking forward to it. And I don't really have anything else for this one other than I love that the overall theme is family, whether
Yeah.
it's a bunch of freedom fighters, whether it's,
Yeah.
a makeshift family. I love the fact that that's the core that, they're looking out for the little guy in the literal sense of the word because we
Yeah.
are on a microscopic, like beyond
Yeah.
microscopic level. But it's a great I think people should go in with their own,
Yeah.
just go in open and fresh. Don't go by reviews or what people are saying or what you've
Yeah.
heard. Just go in and take it as what it is. It's just a fun movie with a story arc that we wish would have carried on, but don't even
Yeah.
let that sway you. Just go in and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Well, because it's fairly like if you even just kind of don't even pay attention to the mid-credit scene. Like
Right.
if you just kind of take that out, just take this as a good one and done, you know.
Mhm.
There was potential there that just never got realized,
Right.
and so we'll see. If you do want to, you can stay to the end credits because there's a little bit of a scene from the upcoming Loki season
Right.
2, which also featured a variant of Kang in it, also played by Jonathan Majors,
Mhm.
and that's great. Great season of the show, and I'll be picking up that on an episode at the end of the month with Violet. So we will be talking about Loki season 2. Uh,
Yeah, that was a fantastic season. I love that show.
yeah. But next week, I will be talking to Kelly Gredner from the I Spit on Your podcast and Taboo Terrors podcasts. We will be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So expect there to be lots of tears because that is a very sad movie.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but yeah. Um, so that's what we got coming up next week on this podcast. What do you got going on your podcast, Donna?
So you know what? It's a brand new year, and you have already posted this. So I am going to be posting our 2024 picks just because I meant to upload it and I didn't. And so that's all I'm doing for this coming week. But
All right.
for the month of January, my
Yeah,
theme
what's your
is,
theme?
yeah, you come with these crazy themes. It's going to be New Year, New Fear. So
Mm,
just, I'm not even going to
interesting.
explain it. You're going to have to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely go check out her podcast. Go follow her on Instagram. I have got her links in the show notes. Uh, and definitely go check out her stuff. She has a lot of fun over on her stuff. She always has like cool monthly themes. So it's she does a lot of fun stuff in the horror universe. But and then make sure to come back and listen to Kelly and I talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And until next time, stay creepy. Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.